So GoldenGate architecture we discussed. So there are different types of extracts and replicates which we discussed. Now, how GoldenGate data flow. So if source database and target database. Source database can be Oracle, any non-Oracle. Target can be any Oracle, non-Oracle supported database. Each database has its own transaction logs. In case of Oracle, these transaction logs are called as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. So whatever changes DDL or DML you do, those changes are recorded into the transaction logs of the database. And remember one thing, these transaction logs contains committed as well as uncommitted transactions. So what happens is GoldenGate capture process, it captures or extracts the committed transactions from the transaction logs. So in case of integrated capture, log miner passes on the changes to the capture process. Once the transactions are captured, it writes them to the trail file on local machine, which are called as local trail. Once the data is available into local trail, GoldenGate data pump process reads the data out of your local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail on target machine, which is called as remote trail. Once the data is available into remote trail, GoldenGate replicate process applies it to target database. So this replicate process delivers the data to the target database. Okay, so in today's session, we are going to discuss about how to download the binaries and how to check the certification metrics. But in the previous session, when we stopped, like we were discussing about setting up the VM as well, right? So in the previous session, we had set up our GGate 1 and GGate 2. So we were able to ping GGate 1 to GGate 2 when we ended the session. Along with that, we were able to ping GGate 1 from GGate 2. So this is done. Now these VMs are ready for you to practice. Now in these VMs, just to let you know, if you go to U01, no, if you go to /home/software cd/home/oracle/softwares. So this is the directory where all GoldenGate related binaries are present. So as I told you prior to the session that these virtual boxes comes with GoldenGate binaries. So you will find all three training binaries over here: classic architecture binaries, microservices binaries, and Veridata binaries for practice. So you can use them. So the location is /home/oracle/software. So if you are using training provided VMs, then you can find these binaries on both GGate 1 and GGate 2 under this particular location. Okay, now the database is already installed, the software is already installed. So the Oracle home is su-oracle. So echo $oracle_home. So this is Oracle home. So our GoldenGate, our database is installed. However, remember, database is not created in these VMs. So you have to create the database on your own in these VMs. So we are going to create the database right now. Okay. Remember one thing, for GoldenGate installation, it is not mandatory for you to install database first, but it is recommended that you should have it. Okay. So we'll create the database. So remember one thing, the binaries which are there of database in these VMs, only database software is installed, but database is not created. So you will need to create the database on your own. So how to do that? Let us do that. So we'll be using /dbs. So we'll be using dbcl. Oh, bin, sorry. Oracle home /bin ls dbcl. So we'll invoke it. So let us first invoke the display, and then I'll run dbcl. So dbcl stands for Database Configuration Assistant. So now what we are doing is we are creating the database on GGate 1. Similarly, we'll also create the database on GGate 2. So DBCA, it will be invoked. Okay, so now it is giving us first option, create a database, which we want. So we'll create a database, click on next. Now here from 12C, we have got the concept of multi-tenant architecture. So if you means my recommendation would be to create the pluggable database, multi-tenant architecture. If you want to not to create multi-tenant architecture, then completely it's okay. However, if you have to decide like which one to choose, I would suggest create a multi-tenant database like container pluggable. So I'll create pluggable database for you. So database name I'll create as OGGDB1. Database name could be anything, but I'm creating like because it reside on GGate1, I'm naming it as OGGDB1. And password I'll give welcome1. Create as container database, absolutely. So I need to provide the pluggable database name, and I'm providing the pluggable database name as PDB1. Okay. So once you have done that, click on next. So the admin password entered by you does not match, so does not conform to secured, so that's okay. Validating writability, storage location provided, etc. So once it does that, check the summary if everything is okay. You can do that. If you want to save the response file, you can do that and then click on finish. So what this will do is this will proceed to create the database for you. Similarly, go to GGate 2. So while the database is getting created on GGate 1, so it will create the database with the name OGGDB1 and pluggable database name PDB1. Similarly, if you want to create now same way, while the database creation on GGate 1 is in progress, we can create database on GGate 2 as well. So GGate 2 again, we'll go to Oracle home. Okay, we'll go to bin and here I'll invoke DBCA. So DBCA stands for Database Configuration Assistant. Okay, so now we'll run the Database Configuration Assistant again. So this is GGate 2. I'll follow the same step, create a database. Here global database name OGGDB2. So basically we are readying ourselves for multi-tenant architecture. Sorry, the GoldenGate replication, right? And pluggable database name I'll mention as PDB2. So the container database name is OGGDB2 and pluggable database name is PDB2. Click on next. Then click on yes over here. So once you have done that, again, it will validate writability storage. It will generate the summary. Once it is done, click on finish. So now the database creation will be in progress on GGate 2 as well as GGate 1 for you. So both on GGate 1 and GGate 2, the database creation is in progress right now. Database creation is in progress. So we'll have to wait until database gets created. So it will take some time. So database creation Once it is completed, then we'll be good with databases. But however, in the meanwhile, we can check other stuff. We can continue with other stuff while the database is getting created for us. So now our databases or our virtual boxes are absolutely ready with the database creation as well. Both GGate 1 as well as GGate 2. Once it is 100%. Okay. Okay. So now the next step is we'll be proceeding to download the binaries. So next step is, so now we'll move to GoldenGate part. So that was just to show you setting up VM part. Now we'll move to GoldenGate part. Now we'll need to, next step is, now we'll proceed to download and install Oracle GoldenGate. Now before you proceed to download and install Oracle GoldenGate. So what is the first step? First step is download. Second step is install. So first you need to download the binaries from OTN, and then once the binaries are downloaded, then install it. Right. However, which version you should be downloading? The main question is which version of GoldenGate you should download now. Should you download like GG12C or 18C or 19C or 21C? 21C is the latest version of GoldenGate. 21C is latest version of Oracle GoldenGate. 19C is the one which is like the second latest. Until August, that was the latest version. 18C and 12C are quite old version now. Many places you will see like still they are using 12C or they are upgrading to 19C. 18C like I haven't. It was means the launch between 18C and 19C was very short, so that's why there was not much like you won't find not many installations are there on 18C, but still there are, and the latest is 21C. Now the question comes, which one you should download, which one you should be using in your environment. Should you use 21C, should you use 19C, which one? So the thing is, I always suggest one thing, go with the latest supported version. But in this case, like by latest supported version, I mean that it should be like at least 5-6 months old. It should not be couple of months or 3-4 months old. The simple reason being when the version is launched, initially you may hit some bug in your environment and or some issues as well you may find. So that's why I never suggest to use this 21C right now, because this 21C was launched in August September 2021, so it's only 2 months right now. So that's why I won't suggest you to use 21C. As of now, if it's immediate installation for learning or immediate installation for your production environment, use 19C as of now. So for this training, I'll be using 19C still. Maybe next batch or a batch after that, you will find the course being upgraded to 21C for sure. Okay, now the question comes, now next thing right here, what we need to consider is, suppose I have decided to download 19C. Means suppose I have decided to use 19C, but I have to ensure that the databases which I am using, the databases which I am using or the platform which I am using, it supports 19C GoldenGate. I have to ensure that. How will I do that? Each version, each software in this world comes with certification metrics. Not only GoldenGate, but each technology, it comes with certification metrics. So what you have to check is, first of all, download the certification metrics of the version which you want to use, whether you want to use 19C, 18C or 12C. First of all, ensure to check the certification metrics of that version. So check the certification metrics, ensure that it is supported for your environment. So first of all, what all things you need to note down is, note down source DB type, source DB version, and source platform. Similarly, you need to note down target DB type, whether it is Oracle, SQL Server, or any other. Then source target DB version. In fact, you can do it like source DB type and version you can do. Similarly, you can do target DB type and version, and similarly target server platform you can do, right? So in our case, the virtual boxes which we are going to use, the DB type is Oracle and version is 12.2. The platform is Linux x86 64-bit. Similarly, same thing for our target database for GGate2 as well. Oracle 12.2 and platform is Linux x86 64-bit. If you want to check which one is it, you can always run uname -a. So database creation is still in progress, but just to show you, you can always run uname -a. So you can see it is Linux Enterprise Linux 6, it is x86 64. Okay, same thing is there on both the sides. So now what you need to do is you need to download certification. You need to check the certification metrics. So how do you check the certification metrics? So to check the certification metrics, what you can do is over Google, you can do download Fusion middleware certification metrics. So you will get to this link. So GoldenGate is a Fusion middleware product. So that's why you need to check. So this is the link, oracle.com/middleware/technology/fusion-certification you need to check. Okay. So you can find the GoldenGate binaries over here. So like 21C certification metrics is also available now. If you want to check, you can find 21C certification metrics over here. Similarly, if you want to check GoldenGate 19C certification metrics, you can find 18C certification metrics. So whatever binary, whatever certification metrics you want to check. So I'll paste this link anyways in the chat window over here. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So now what you need to do is, based on the certification metrics you have, means the version which you select to download, select the binary which you want to download. Select the binaries. Select means if you want to use it for 21C, if you want to use it for 18C, 19C, download the binaries. So I've already downloaded the binaries for like 18C, 12C, or 19C. So let us check the 19C certification metrics. So it comes in Excel for you. So let us check Excel. So this is 19C binary. So click on this GoldenGate part. Okay. Now, if you see here, you will need to select like this GoldenGate binary is supported for different databases, like this 19C is supported for MariaDB, SQL Server, IBM DB2, different flavors, SQL Server, MySQL database, Oracle database, Oracle times 10, Teradata. So it is supported for multiple databases. So select, because our database is Oracle So what we'll do, we'll select only Oracle database. Now, next is you will see OS version now over here. So OS version 7.1. So ours is Enterprise Linux 6. This one. Ours is Enterprise Linux 6. So if you have multiple platforms, you can deselect and select based on your requirement. So ours is this Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6. So we'll check the certification metric. So if you check this, this supports Linux x86 64, which is absolutely fine with us. Along with that, it supports 12 dot. So it supports our database 11.204, 12.101, 12.102. So basically the 12.2 database which we have, it supports that database for us. So it supports 12.2 database which we have. So we are good with as per the certification metric. So we don't have to worry much about it regarding this certification metric. So what we need to do now is we need to download the binaries of GoldenGate 19C because we have checked. So our database version source and target is 12.2. In our case, it is same. Now say for example for you, your source and target is different. Your source is Oracle, target is SQL Server. So your binaries will differ. So for each version of GoldenGate or each database type, the binaries will differ. In fact, for different platforms, binaries are separate. So if your source and target databases are different or platforms are different, in that case, your binaries will be different. Okay. So now what we are going to do here is we'll be downloading the GoldenGate binary. So let us download GoldenGate binaries. So to download the GoldenGate binaries, there are two options. Either use edelivery.oracle.com or you have another option using OTN. You can download. So guys, one thing, let me show you these. I have prepared activity guides for you. For with each session, like you have activity guides. So in the activity guides, you will also find the certification metrics, which I have already uploaded for 12C, 18C, and 19C. If you don't want to download it, you can Google it as I showed you. Otherwise, and also have pasted the link in chat window. Another option is like you can download from there or you can get it from there. So these activity guides are present in the same folder where your recordings are uploaded. I shared the link with you over email. You already have it. Just in case if you don't receive it, you can email me and I can send it to you. Okay. So these activity guides are available in the same folder where recordings are there. Another thing is like module wise, I have prepared the activity guides. So you can find like under module 2, the download and installation is easy, but still I have prepared these activity guides how to download GoldenGate and how to like install GoldenGate. So you can follow this download and install. Activity guide 1 is there, which shows you how to download and install Oracle GoldenGate. So it is step-by-step pictorial guide as well. So you can sign into edelivery.oracle.com. Another option is like what you can do is you can just over Google you can do download Oracle GoldenGate. You can just do download Oracle GoldenGate. It will take you to OTN. Okay. Now over here you can find this 19C. So guys, one thing is like here means soon you will find 21C binaries because 21C is the latest version of Oracle GoldenGate. So soon you will find 21C binaries. So just in case the binaries which you are looking for are not available over OTL, you can find them in edelivery.oracle.com. You can find them in edelivery.oracle.com as well. So let us search for the binary which we want to download. So for downloading GoldenGate binaries, you can check the binaries are here platform wise and database wise. So you will see there are two binaries. One is Oracle GoldenGate and another one is microservices. So which one we have to download? What do you think? Anyone would like to answer this?
Without microservices, as we
Absolutely.
are going for classic.
Absolutely. So there are
Yep.
binaries available for classic and microservices both. So because binaries are separate for each architecture, like when you're using classic or when you're using microservices, the binaries are separate. Hence, what you need to do is you need to download the for classic architecture. If you want to go, you need to download the binaries for classic, which doesn't say microservices at all, which doesn't say microservices at all. Okay, so what we'll do now is, so another thing, if you see, you have different binaries for Oracle for different platforms. So our platform is Linux x86 64. So we have this binary. We'll use this binary because so for AIX it is different binary. For HP UX you have different binary. For each platform it is different binary. So you can see. Similarly, when you go down, so if you go down, you can find the binaries for MySQL are different. MySQL for Windows, for Teradata, it is different. So for each platform or database, the binaries are different. So for each platform and databases, the binaries are different for you, right? So you need to download the correct binaries over here. So what we'll do is we'll download the correct binaries here. So what I'll do is uh, I'll download I will download Oracle GoldenGate 19.1.0.0.4 from Oracle. So select this. So once you click on binary which you want to install, click on that. It will take you to this screen. Select this I reviewed and accept the Oracle license agreement and download. Then it will ask you to provide you the credentials for your Oracle account. Once you provide the credentials, the download will happen. So if you're using this training provided VMs, you don't have to worry. The VMs are already there and you can utilize it. So the VMs are already downloaded and they are transferred to they're already transferred to the virtual box. So you can utilize those. So let me log into this. Welcome one. Okay, so database is right now getting created. Now so one thing which I want to show you is like, so before you install GoldenGate, there are few things you need to keep in mind. For installation of GoldenGate, there are few things which you need to keep in mind. What are those things? What are those things before installation? First is you need to have mount point space. You need to have sufficient space available. You need to have sufficient space so you can utilize either So you can utilize either your existing mount point or you can create a new mount point as well. Existing mount point or create new mount point. Now the question comes, how much space you need? Now the question comes, how much space you need? How would you decide how much space is needed? Okay, so the space, so remember one thing, GoldenGate binaries consume very less space. The binaries of GoldenGate need around 700 MB of space, you will see. But how much space you need to give? Like we saw the architecture, whatever GoldenGate extract process captures, it writes them to the trail files. So for those trail files, space is needed. So how much space you need? How would you calculate the space for that? So the calculation criteria is, like, say for example, so it's approximate criteria. It's definitely not definitive criteria, but it's an approximate criteria. But how would you decide how much space you need? How much space you need? How would you decide that? So to decide that, first of all, what you need to do is, you need to say, for example, the source database which you want to replicate the data of. You need to identify how much archives are getting generated for that for last 30 days. So for last 30 days or 60 days, you can take out how much archives have generated per day. Once you identify the size of archive which has been generated per day, take out maximum 7-day archive log size. And based on that, say for example, if you want to keep 7 days trail file, 7 days data using GoldenGate, so what you can do is take out maximum 7 days. So someday there was 1 GB data, 1 GB archive which was generated. One day it was 10 GB. So take out maximum 10 GB or more than that. It means maximum 7 days, average of 7 days, maximum archives which has been generated in last 30 or 60 days, because that will give you a bit of idea. Suppose, so first thing is, another thing what you need to agree with business is how much data they want to keep. Because see, some organizations or some customers want to keep the data of 30 days. They want to keep the data of 30 days as well. Okay, but you don't want, but and some customer wants to keep the data of 7 days. So you need to decide based on how much data you need to keep, and based on that you will identify, like you will define the size. The average is, I tell you, the average is like they want to keep 7 days data. Most of the customer wants to keep 7 days data. That is the average. So suppose they want to keep 7 days data on an average. So what you can do is, for last 30 days, as I mentioned, check the archive generated per day, and maximum 7 days, note down like maximum 7 days archive generation, how much was it, take out an average and multiply it by 7 for how many days you want to keep, multiply it by 7. Suppose you want to keep 7 days trail file and store in your like you need that much space. So suppose you identify that the maximum size, like the average size for 7 days maximum archive is 12 GB, suppose. So what you'll do, you'll multiply 12 by 7, which comes out to 96, and you will add, for future reference, like you will add 50 to 80%, because future growth of database will happen. So today there may be 12 GB of data, but tomorrow it may generate 60 GB of data, right? So to keep that in mind, you will, means if I were you, I would definitely like request for 96 into 3, which comes to around 288 GB of mount point. 258 GB equivalent to 300 GB I would request for. Now, some organizations, they give you they don't allow this much information, this much mount point space. Some organizations will allow you to provide this much mount point space, but still you need 96 GB based on your calculation. So at least you will be good for 2 to 3 years with this 300 GB at least, right? So yeah, so even if they give you 150 GB, so you're good with that. I give you one scenario here. Like once for one of the client who was like who was small client, okay, and he was not ready to give much space, and I provided this calculation to him. So suppose the size which I requested was around 500 GB based on my calculation, and they asked me to provide the calculation like how did you arrive to that calculation. So I provided my statistics to them, and based on that they were like laughing at me. Means they were like not laughing, but they questioned my approach. They said that how can you say that the data will increase this much, or we are sure it doesn't happen. So I said that I have seen, like, why I provide you this calculation is you may also think that this will not happen. Like one day if 10 GB is generating, suddenly 60 GB may generate. Guys, trust me, this happened. I have seen that. And same thing happened with that client. Within next 2 days, like average generation of archive log size, I still remember average generation was 20 GB. It never crossed 20 GB in last 30 days for them. But suddenly, after this discussion happened, they had like archive generation of more than 100 GB because there was one of the bad job which ran, and they were quite surprised with that. They were quite surprised with that, and then they approved in fact more than 500 GB at that moment. So this calculation may seem some, I mean, odd to you, but it is not. Then second thing, first is space. Guys, why am I telling you? Because based on my experience, I'm telling you. So this is really very important, because if you don't do it, you will face a lot of issues. Second thing is with which user you should download. You should install GoldenGate. So you can use either Oracle user, or you can use any new user like GG user or GG admin. You need to create. Ensure that this user is part of O-install group. This user should be part of O-install group. So the thing is, like, some organizations have segregated the responsibility of GoldenGate and database administrators. In that case, what you can do is you can use a separate user other than Oracle to install. If you don't want to do that, then use, if database administrators are going to use or manage GoldenGate in your environment, then use Oracle user. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So Nadeem has a question. Will MSA binaries have classic binaries too, or they are installed separately? As I mentioned, those are separate binaries. Okay.
Ashish, I have one more question here. Nadeem, this side.
Yeah, Nadeem.
Yeah, in talking about archive generation space, right, the estimating the space, I know I have seen some clients where when they enable supplemental log data, right, at the database level, even Oracle recommends that there would be some increase in the archive besides the normal archive log generation. If you enable supplemental log data, it will also generate a bit more archives. Is that true?
That's correct. So we haven't discussed about supplemental logging.
I'm just asking beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be discussing about supplemental logging later, but the answer to your question is yes. Enabling the supplemental logging generates more archive logs. Okay. Any other question from anyone? Otherwise, I'll proceed to installation. So in the meanwhile, if you can see, the database creation is still in progress. So that's okay. We can still install GoldenGate while the database is installing. That's of no issue. So anyone has any question? No? Okay. So now we'll go to GGate 1. Okay. here we'll install GoldenGate and we'll use Oracle user to install GoldenGate. So I'll go to /home/Oracle/software. Okay. So here you can find the binaries of classic. So go to OGG_classic binaries. So the binaries of GoldenGate comes in zipped format, like you see over here. So what you need to do, you need to unzip it. So unzip it. So unzipping will take few seconds. So once unzip is done, then we'll proceed to, we'll get the unzipped binaries. So unzipping is in progress right now. Once unzipping is done, we'll proceed to installation. Unzipping is in progress. So same thing will be following in GGate 2 as well. So guys, we'll be using in our VM, we'll be using our existing mount point. So we'll be using this. I'll go to U01. App Oracle. Okay, I'll create one directory over here with the name gg_ggate1. Okay, I'll go to, so I'll utilize this directory. So let us see if unzipping is done. Yeah, unzipping is done. So here, once unzip is done, you will find that it has been unzipped to this. So go to FBO. So here you will find disk 1, and here you will find run installer. So use run installer to install Oracle GoldenGate. So do run install. So this will invoke OUI for you, Oracle Universal Installer, and so you can also do silent installation of GoldenGate. I'll let you know how do you do that. It's easy. Why it's not coming? Or maybe because the database creation is in progress, so maybe it is not invoking to installers. Could that be the case? Guys, what do you think? Because one installer is already running, so that's why it may not. Okay, no, I was wrong. Okay, so when you install Oracle GoldenGate 19c, so guys in 21c, this part you don't have to worry. This is very good part. What you see right now in 21c, it's no longer there. So the thing is, in 19c, when you install GoldenGate, it asks you for which database you want to install this GoldenGate for. Whether you want to install this GoldenGate for 19c or 18c or 12c or 11g, which database you want to download this GoldenGate for. So this 19c GoldenGate, as we saw in certification metrics, it supports 19c database, it supports 18c database, it supports 12c database, it supports 11 to 04 database. So you have to provide, so binaries for them, all of them is same. However, when you install, we need to provide the correct database version. So in our case, we are going to use this GoldenGate for Oracle database 12c. So we'll select this third option. Okay. So once you do that, select. So the reason why GoldenGate uses this, or you need to provide this, is when you invoke GGSCI, GoldenGate Software Command Interface, it uses database library files. So that's why you need to provide the correct database version over here. Okay, once you do that, click on next. Okay, so one question which Nadeem is asking, which is very good question. If I have to set up GG for 12c and 19c database on same server, do I need two installations? Absolutely. The reason being, the 19c installation will be different and 12c will be different. So 19c means Oracle GoldenGate 19c for Oracle database 19c will be different, and Oracle GoldenGate for Oracle database 12c will be different. Click on next. So select the third option because our database is Oracle database 12c. Click on next. So here it will ask for the software location. So basically where you want to install this GoldenGate, in which location. So we created the location, right? So want to install it as U01 app Oracle GG underscore ggate. So our GoldenGate will be installed in this directory. So basically this will serve as GoldenGate home, right? So we'll start the manage. So GoldenGate, okay, guys, one thing. So this guys, you may think that I made some. If you think this installation is going slow, don't worry. Like this is really very important for you to understand. That's why I'm taking time. You need to understand the nitty-gritty while installing GoldenGate. Otherwise, I have seen people like, I'll tell you why I showed you like why it is important to check the certification metrics and everything. See, when you implement things practically, okay. So when you are hired as a GoldenGate administrator, okay. Now the thing is, if you load the binary and if it comes wrong, that's okay. I don't have any issues. But the thing is, like people perception becomes like you want to be right first thing. First thing is your effort, what you make. And second thing is that people are looking at you as a GoldenGate expert. Like I'll tell you, the purpose of this training is to make you like pave your path towards becoming GoldenGate expert. So that the mistake what other people do, or the mistake which I have done already, like in during these sessions, you will see my all the experience I'll be sharing with you during the session. So you will find all that during the training. So this certification matrix, checking certification matrix is really very important. You should be checking the certification matrix, okay, to set up GoldenGate. This is really very important part. Same thing applies here as well. Like say for example, you just select 12C, you will find that GoldenGate is not working. Then you will again have to do all the task of deinstalling if you don't select the correct database. So it is really very important that you select the correct database. Okay. Now this, okay, what I was telling here was in GoldenGate architecture, if you see. So we discussed about capture, pump, delivery. Along with that, we also discussed about one of the process which was collector process, which is background process, which someone asked. Which anyways, I'll be discussing later as well. Along with that, you have one more process over here, which is called as manager process. Now, manager process is there in GoldenGate environment, which manages the GoldenGate complete GoldenGate environment. So manager, as the name suggests, it manages all the GoldenGate processes, components which are there. So manage on top of these processes, you have manager. So each GoldenGate comes with one and only one manager. So there will be one manager in classic architecture. So, and manager needs a port to run on. So you need to provide a port. So if you choose to start manager during installation, that's okay. If you choose not to start, that's also okay. So it's not mandatory for you to start the manager during GoldenGate installation. It's completely up to you if you want to start or if you don't want to start GoldenGate during, if you don't want to start manager during GoldenGate installation. So if you don't want to start, you don't need to provide like database, home or port number over here. But if you want to start the manager, in that case, you need to provide Oracle database home location, along with that the manager port as well. So the manager needs a port to run on. So the manager which runs it, GoldenGate manager, it requires a port to run on. So that port should be free. Basically, nothing else should be running on that particular port. Ensure that. So the 7809 is default port, so I'm using that particular port. Once you have done that, click on next. Now check the summary if you're okay. Also, you can save this response file if you want. So like some organizations, they have the requirement that like in dev they can provide you this GUI access, but in prod they don't provide. So what you can do, you can save this response file and use this response file to take it to other environment, use the parameters used over here to install Golden. Okay, once you have done that, click on install. So what will happen? The installation of GoldenGate will happen successfully now. Same thing you can do in Ggate 2 for installation. So the GoldenGate installation doesn't take much time. It will take couple of minutes to 5 minutes. It will take couple of minutes. Just to be on safer side, I'm telling you 5 minutes, but it doesn't take that long. So this is almost complete now. Oh, sorry. Guys, I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yes, Ashish.
Okay, sorry, I mistakenly pressed like that option of not sharing, so it would have gone for a minute. Okay, so installation of Oracle GoldenGate was successful on Ggate 1. Okay, now you can go to the directory U01 app Oracle gg_gate1 here. Now if I do ls-lart, you can see these, the binaries are installed over here. So to log into GoldenGate prompt, do ggsa./ggsa. So ggsa stands for GoldenGate Software Command Interface. So to check what all GoldenGate processes are created over here, you need to do info all. So info all will tell you what all GoldenGate processes are configured in your GoldenGate environment. So currently, as I told you, we have this manager process. So each GoldenGate environment comes with one and only one manager process. So you can see this manager process which is there. It is running right now. It says it is running. Why do you think did we start the manager process? How did it come to running mode? Anyone? How can it come to running mode? We didn't do anything. So that means GoldenGate by default starts the manager during installation. What do you think, guys? So my question is, this manager process is in running status. Did I start the manager? How come it came to running mode?
Automatically they started.
While installing, you select tick that box, start manager automatically. So that's why it is started, right?
Absolutely correct. So during the installation, if you remember, we take that option start manager. So what it does, it starts the manager. So manager runs on the port number which we specify. So if you want to check, like, you can check ps-ef grep mgr. So what happens is the ps-ef grep mgr. So what happens is GoldenGate processes, each process consumes a process ID. It has a process ID assigned, which you can check at GoldenGate, means OS level as well. So when you do ps-ef grep mgr, you can see that this process is running over. Okay, now we provided, so in GoldenGate here you have these directories like dir sql. You see these directories: dir sql, dir def, dir dat, dir crd. Then you have dir chk, dir wlt, dir dmp, dir prm, dir rpt, dir pcs. Each directory in GoldenGate is really very important. Like, so these directories will become more clearer to you as in when the session goes on. But just to let you know, like, dir prm is the directory which stores the parameter file. Dir rpt is the directory which stores the report file of each process. Dir pcs is the directory which shows you the status, which stores the process status. Dir chk is the directory which stores the checkpoint files. Dir crd stores credential store. Dir dat store the trail files. Dir def stores definition files. Then dir sql stores, if you want to create any SQL files, it stores your SQL files. Dir tmp stores is a temporary directory. So you have all these directories over here. So if you want to check each, so like if I go to dir prm, remember one thing, guys, here. Each process in GoldenGate has a parameter file associated to it. So whether it is extract, you will see when we configure other processes. But just to let you know, like manager process, it is also running right now. So it has a parameter file associated to it. The parameter you provide in the parameter file, GoldenGate process runs according to it. So same thing applies to this manager as well. So this manager process has a parameter file, and based on the parameter provided in parameter file, the manager process is running. So how do you view the parameter file of the process? You need to do view param and process name. View param and process name. So when you do view param mgr, So because it's manager process is also called as MGR, so you can do view param MGR. When you do view param MGR, you can find this port 7809. So how did it get the port 7809? Because during installation we provided the port number as to be used as 7809. Hence you see this port 7809. So manager process is running as per port 78, means manager process is using the port 78092 to run. You can also see, so whatever information guys you see on this one thing, let me tell you, whatever information you see on GGSCI, it basically gets those information from these directories. Like we did view param MGR, right? So from where does it get this information from? It get that information from dir PRM. Similarly, the manager process status, it says running. From where does it get that information from you? For you, it is under dir PCS. So if I exit from GGSCI and go to dir PRM, and if I want to see the parameter file of this process, I can view it from dir PRM directory as well. So I can view the, so on GGSCI, it is getting us the information from these directories only. Okay. So the installation of GoldenGate over here is successful. Now let us go to GGate 2. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll go to slash. So here as well, first of all, let me go to U01 app. So app Oracle. Here I'll create the directories as gg_ggate2. Okay, I'll info gg_ggate2 pwd copy. Okay, I'll go to slash home slash Oracle slash softwares ogg_classic unzip the binaries over here. So what I'll do, let me show you when I don't start the manager during installation, what happens. Let me show that to you. So guys, one thing as a practice, what I want you to do is, your database is 12C. Select the option of 19C. Like you are going to install GoldenGate for Oracle database 19C. Select that option. See what happens in that case. Take it as an exercise, okay? So that, see, one thing I'll tell you is, like when you, I can tell you, I can show you what happens, but when you do things practically on your own, that becomes more clearer. That's why I want you to try. After this session, when you're installing GoldenGate, don't choose the correct option, choose the wrong option. Then we'll see what happens. Okay, so it is now extracted. Go to this, go to disk 1, run installer over here. Database is also created, OGGDB2. So we'll need to change the TNS etc. over here. We'll do that. So let me first install and then we'll manage the database. So let us wait for installer to come up. Okay, so now this is what I want you to do. Like our database is 12C. Now when you are installing GoldenGate, select different option. Select either 19C or 18C. See what happens, okay? And let me know. reply over WhatsApp group. Okay, so I'll select this option, same option, click on next. Okay, now we are going to install GoldenGate over that U01 app Oracle GG_Gate 2. I won't select the start manager now. Okay, now click on next and then click on install. So the installation of GoldenGate over Gate 2 will also be done. So you see how quickly the installation happens. Guys, one thing I'll tell you, the installation is easy, I agree, but how do you proceed to install? What all things you need to keep in mind? One thing also, okay, now when you're working as GoldenGate administrator or architect, one more thing, one more question which may come to you is like, how much CPU you need, how much RAM you need for GoldenGate. So these questions you also be ready. So the minimum you should be requesting for 4 or 8 CPUs for GoldenGate if you have that question. If you like need a GoldenGate server, which is good. Okay, so installation of GoldenGate was successful. Click on close. It is done successfully. We'll go to U01 app Oracle GG_Gate 2. Now if you see over here now, to log into GoldenGate, we'll do GGSCI. So do info all over here. Now we see the manager is stopped. Why? We saw in Gate 1 it was running, but here it is stopped. Why? Anyone would like to answer? It's an obvious answer, but I want you to answer right now so that you follow.
We unclicked, Ashish.
We didn't say start manager at the time.
Exactly. So we unchecked that option. That's why it is clear. So can I go ahead and start the manager now? Let me do start MGR. See what happens is when you start the manager, automatically it creates mgr.prm for you. But here we haven't got it created. Another thing, let me show you. When I exit, when I do ls-lart, I don't see those directories like dir, prm, dir that got created. I don't have those. Can you see? No, they are not there. So what do we need to do? Should we create them manually? No. Sorry? What we can do is at GGSCI, we can do create sub-dirs. So basically create subdirectories. Once we do create sub-dirs, you will find that all the subdirectories will be created under GoldenGate home with dir prm, dir rpt, dir chk, dir pcs, sql, def, dat, dir tmp, credential store directory, dir wlt, and dir tmp. All these directories have been created. Okay, now once they have been created, now can I go ahead and start the manager? No, still it says mgr.prm does not exist. Why? Because we have to create that. So during start manager, it get automatically created, but now we have to create it. How can we create? At GGSCI level, do edit param mgr. So one question which was asked in previous session from me was, can we go to dir prm and create mgr.prm? Absolutely, you can do that. Or at GGSCI level, do edit param mgr. It will create mgr.prm under dir prm for you. Remember, one thing best part with GoldenGate is it is case insensitive. So you don't have to worry about case in GoldenGate. So here give port 7810. So the thing is, you can provide same port for source and target, like Gate 1 is different server, Gate 2 is different server. You just have to ensure that nothing else is running on that port and that port is free, so that manager can run on it. So here I'm providing the port number as 7810. So those can be same, those can be different. But just for the reference purpose, like for future, when I do things, when we are learning, you will understand that port is different. So that will help you in developing the concept. So that's why I'm using separate port. But your source and target port numbers can be same. Save it and close it and then start MGR. Your manager file will start. Your manager process will start. See, manager is. If I exit from GGSCI, you can find these directories over here. So to create the directories, if they are not created using GoldenGate installation, you have to do create subdirs. So if you want to do size, so this is the GUI installation. If you want to do silent installation, you can do /run installation installer -silent -response file, and you can provide the location of response file which we saved. So you can create the response file, and in that response file, you can call that run installer over there using silent installation. Once that silent installation, so you will need to provide this response file location and the response file name to do the silent installation. Even one of the file also comes with GoldenGate binaries. So if you go to /home/oracle/softwares/ogg_classic fbo disk 1. So here under response directory, you have got this file. So what you need to do, you need to edit the parameters over here, like which one you want to use, install option like 12c, 18c, 19c, then start manager, yes or no, true or false, then manager port, database location, all those location you can provide over here. Okay, so this is how GoldenGate installation happens. So this GoldenGate installation is pretty easy, guys, but yeah, there are few things which you need to keep in mind, not only at VM level, but still at organization level. When you are installing GoldenGate, it's really very important for you to understand. Okay, any question on today's session? So guys, next session will be tomorrow, same timing. Okay, so what we'll be discussing in the next session, like, so in the next session we'll be discussing first of all location, deciding where to install GoldenGate. Different options basically, like what is GoldenGate Hub, we'll be discussing that as well. Okay, then we'll be discussing about prerequisites to set up for GoldenGate, what is supplemental logging and types of supplemental logging, and then if the time permits, we'll discuss about setting up source and target objects for replication. Okay, so for what you need to do in today's session is create the VMs, create the databases OGG DB1 on GGate 1 and OGG DB2 on GGate 2. If creating pluggable, then create with name PDB1 and PDB2 respectively on GGate 1 and GGate 2. Third is install GoldenGate on GGate 1 as well as GGate 2. And you can visit this blog. I'll be sharing these details anyways over WhatsApp group. So you can also do K21 supplemental logging blog. That blog is written by me, so you can go through that. And link to join, etc. I'll be sharing with you over WhatsApp as well as calendar invite. Okay, so it will be the new link which I'll be sharing for tomorrow's session. So if I have to quickly recap today's session, so you have to follow activity guide 1 for today's session. So quickly recap for today's session is we discussed about how data flow. So go extract captures the data, write to local trail, pump reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail where replicate process reads it. Now GoldenGate Training VM has 12.2 database and 19C binaries. That binaries are present in /home/oracle/software. For GoldenGate binaries download, before download and install, make a note of below like source, database type, version and platform. Before you proceed with download and installation, always check the certification matrix. So download the certification matrix. Once you have downloaded, you can either go with GUI installation or silent installation, whatever you want. To invoke the GoldenGate prompt, you need to go to GoldenGate home and do ggslay. To see what all processes are there in GoldenGate environment, do info. Manager process is default for GoldenGate installation. Only one manager process for each GoldenGate install. Or parameter file reside inside GoldenGate home/dir prm. To create directories, if they are not created during installation, use create subdir. So what is manager process do? Manager process purpose is to manage all the GoldenGate resources. Different manager command you can do is like info all, edit param mgr. To view the parameter file, you can do view param mgr, start mgr, stop mgr. So if you want to start the manager, you can do start mgr. To stop the manager, you can do stop mgr. So there are three processes involved in GoldenGate replication: classic architecture, capture or extract process, pump process, as well as delivery or replicate process. So Oracle GoldenGate is installed in source and target. So we'll be discussing about different options to install GoldenGate in the next session. So complete lab setup kit, create database instances on both machines and install GoldenGate on GGate 1 and GGate 2. Okay. Any question if you have, you can ask. The recorded sessions are available over the portal, which I have, the link is already shared. You must have received the link. If you have not received the link, just email me at ashishagarwaleg@gmail.com and I'll check and report on that. Okay. So
Yeah,
if no
sure.
questions are there, let us wrap up our session for today. Does anyone have any question related to today's session? Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining today's session.